Pakularipsi, everybody. Welcome to our Welcoming the Sun Back celebration session. So the sun will be coming up around 1:16 p.m. We have the video here for everyone to follow when we are getting ready to dance. And so we'll go ahead and share that in a few minutes. And for now, we'll just leave a little bit of time for people to call in. If anybody needs to review the dance, just let us know and we could quickly go over it before we dance at 1:16. Do you have anything to say?
Or introduce yourself. Paglalipsi, Uglulotak, Uvanga Nayok, Tanak Siniga, Jerica Ahmed Levitt, Sabaktunga Ibisalvigmi. Hello, everybody. Ariga, I'm so excited for the Sikhinyak to finally be back today. Hopefully, we'll be able to see it beyond the clouds.
To 1:16. So.
Jerica.
Oh, yeah. I think they're just gonna do the dance.
I work at Eliselvik in the Nipak Studies Department.
Uvluloitak, everybody. Uvanga, Katie Roseberry, Inubak Sinima Kampon. I work here in Inubak Studies with Nayok, and yeah, welcome to our.
Make sure if you're not on mute, make sure to keep to press mute to prevent any background noise. Shall we just go over the motions real quick?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
Okay.
So we have about 3 more minutes. For those of you who want to follow along, we're just going to go over the motions really quick for a quick review. Ready? Okay. You want to start?
Okay. So our motions are depicting the sun's rays. So we're raising our hands to the left. And this is just showing the sun's rays, the beautiful rays that we miss so much. And then we're going the other way. This is the motion of the sun. And then we're going outside to greet the sun because we're so happy it's finally back. The motion of the sun again. And we're dancing because we're oh so happy that the Sikhinyak is finally back after 3 long months. So while you all are watching, if you are in Utkarvik, you guys can go to the window that faces where the sun is supposed to come up. And as we dance, you guys can just face that way. You can move your cameras to adjust where the Sikhinyak is going to rise.
If you're in the main building, the Dr. Albert room, if it's not being used, is a good spot to see the sun rising.
Okay, shall we get started?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Don't forget to share computer sound.
okay, ready?
Yep.
Woohoo!
This is welcoming the sun back.
Ariga, pangalagpin sa kanya. Welcome back, son. Okay. Are we gonna dance again?
We should do it one more time.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna do it one more time. For those of you who are dancing along with us, please turn on your video so that we can capture everybody dancing together in our recording. Is it still sharing? Do I need to share? Oh,
You can just play it in the background.
okay.
Just turn it up.
What's up? Or the volume?
I think you have to go on this one.
Wait, how do you get to that one? Okay. So we're gonna play the video as background, but you guys can just follow along with us. So cool. All right. So now we put together a short presentation to go over some of the events that correlate with the sun coming back. Okay. We'll be starting off with some stories that are associated with the sun. This one's from Tikia, called Tikia Umelich Watch the Sun. After its short absence in midwinter to late December, the sun comes up again in the middle of January. Then, around midday, the sun rises for the first time in the year, just a strip of orange on the sea ice horizon. Minutes later, the sun slips back and the last bit of day is swallowed by darkness. The Sikhanelik, or sun watch, marks this moment. Soon after midwinter, the Umelich started waiting for the sun's reappearance. The men rose early, but instead of walking out to hunt, they were joined by their wives on the roofs of their igloo. With their backs to the north and their parka hoods raised against the wind, they stood facing south.
"30 miles southeast lies Imnut, or Cape Thompson." So this is, Katie mentioned it specifically for Tikiak, in Tikiak. So 30 miles southeast of Tikiak lies Imnut, or Cape Thompson. Between Tikiak and the cliffs, there is a huge bay of ice. When you look over this ice to the cliffs and the horizon, you can see the sun rising briefly. The first Umelich, and for those of you who don't know what Umelich is, that means whaling captains. The first Umelich to catch sight of the sun and cry their greeting would be lucky in the next season's whale hunt. The village shared the Umelich's happiness. If they could catch the sun with their kachalak, or loud shout as it rises through the sea ice, they could also harpoon whales when they traveled the past next season. When the sun came up, the Umelich would shout, "Uy, uy," from their iglut. Iglut means their houses. Each day the sun climbs higher. By the end of the month, the sun is balanced, flamey and bleeding, on the sea ice on the south horizon. By mid-February, the sun's whole disk is in the air, although its north edge hugs the cliff edge. When the sun has reached this stage, people in the village would say, "Sikinyak, ayakpakdok." The sun is leaning on the cliffs. If it wasn't for the cliffs, the sun would crash down through the sea ice. The month of January is Sikinyatchek, or called New Sunshine. From now until the end of whaling, Tikiak people would all watch the sun's progress. There was another important thing that happened when the sun rose. Women stood on their iglut and lifted up their children. If they lifted their sons to the sun spirit would make them fast runners and good hunters.
The sun as Tikiak's calendar. By early March, the sun rises over the hills north of Cape Thompson. From then until whaling, Tikiak people used the sun as a calendar. Every day, the sun rises a little further along the hills. When it reaches Kumusiuk Hill in mid-April, it is almost time to start the whale hunt. That was one of the ways old Tikiragmut, meaning people of Tikiak or people from Tikiak, measured time and judged when whaling should start. This drawing shows the names of the hills that can be seen from the village with the sun rising over them.
Okay, let's learn, or let's speak Inipak. So we provided some vocabulary. So while you guys are on mute, you guys can repeat after me. Sikinyak means sun. So sikinyak,
Sikanyak,
sikinyak.
sikanyak,
Sunshine is sikinyak,
sikanyak,
sikinyak.
sikanyak.
The halo that ring around the sun or moon, which occurs during severe cold weather, is avalogon.
Avalogon,
Avalogon.
avalogon.
When the sun sets, it's called oalisak.
Oalisak,
Oalisak.
oalisak.
To eclipse, whether it's the sun or moon, is pula.
Pula,
Pula.
pula.
The sun spirit is called Sikinyam Inyoa.
Sikinyam inyoa,
Sikinyam Inyoa.
sikinyam inyoa.
The sun will be setting today. Sikinyagamik.
Sikinyagamik,
Oalisaganyakdok.
oalisaganyakdok. Olesaganaktuk.
Uvlupak.
Uvlupak.
Siqinyagamik.
Siqinyagamik.
Olesaganaktuk.
Olesaganaktuk.
Uvlupak.
Uvlupak.
Now all together. Siqinyagamik. Olesaganaktuk. Uvlupak.
Siqinyagamik. Olesaganaktuk. Uvlupak.
Yeah, and how wonderful. We welcome you, son. Ariga.
Ariga.
Pagalagikpin.
Pagalagipin.
Siqinyak.
Siqinyak.
Together now. Ariga. Pagalagikpin. Siqinyak.
Ariga. Pagalagipin. Siqinyak.
Yeah. Ariga. We are so excited the Siqinyak is here. So many of you might know or might not know, and it's kind of funny, is that, you know, when people think of the sun, you think of, oh, it's going to be so warm. But here in the Arctic, when the sun comes back, it means it's just going to get colder. So be prepared for cold months ahead. January, February, the coldest months of the year when the sun is back.
All right, so a little bit about the significance of the Seqenyak. The return of the Seqenyak marked many Inupiat activities, such as women. It's a time when women start to split caribou for sinew, caribou tendons for sinew. People go seal hunting. Seal skins are prepared for bleaching, building and repairing skin boats and getting them ready for the new season. Hunters will go polar bear hunting, or trappers will go trapping for wolves, wolverine, and foxes. So in this picture, we have some of the caribou tendons. They're usually freeze dried, and then once they're dry enough, they'll start splitting them and braiding them into the ivalu used to sew the seal skins together for the umat, the whaling boats.
The sun is so important when it comes back. Like Colin mentioned, there's so many different activities that goes on. We rely on the Siqinyak to sun bleach the different types of skins, like seal skins she mentioned. The sun will bleach them white. When it, like, the sun will reflect on the snow and it'll make it, you know, like the sun 10 times stronger. So the process that Katie talked about, here's the caribou legs and the tendon right here, and they're getting cleaned. And like she said, they're freeze dried outside. So you hang them up outside and then you begin splitting them. So it's a whole process in itself to prepare for whaling. Here are some other pictures. So here's the skin, two different skins sewn together for the skin boat. It's a waterproof stitch using the sinew that we previously talked about. Here are some caribou legs drying in the sun drying, sun bleaching. We have a seal skin right here pegged onto the snow. And this is our traditional skin scraping tool called the ikkoon. So these are pictures provided by Gus Koana, who is one of our past summer camp instructors from Tikiak. And he does a lot of his own self-tanning at home in Tikiak. And here are some of his skins, his seal skins and his fox skins that he was working on.
All right, so we wanted to do a sunrise selfie challenge. So for the next week, we challenge you all to go out, take a selfie with the sun as it rises, and then send it to marketing@ilisalvik.edu for them to compile a collage together to share on social media. And then from this, you can challenge your friends and family to also participate in the Sunrise Selfie Challenge and use the hashtag #ICSunriseSelfie.
Make sure you have the sun. We can't, from our building, we can't really see the stuff yet, but make sure you have the sun in your selfie. And you have until the 28th next week to turn in your selfies to marketing. So don't forget to look at that deadline.
You could always share it yourself too and just use the hashtag on social media if you missed the deadline. Okay.
The video.
Do we have anything after this?
So now we're going to, Colin and I, we put together a short story. We animated and read a short story. The story is called The One Who Had Daylight by Elijah Kukinya. Elijah is from, he was an elder from Nunavut region, so from Anaktuvuk Pass. He was one of the main people that held a lot of traditional knowledge regarding traditional stories. And so this one is a really, really great, interesting story about the one who had the daylight. So we'll go ahead and share our screen.
The One Who Had the Daylight. Story by Elijah Kukinya from the Nunavut Unipkangich book. Animated and read by Karon and Nayok.
Our first ancestors among the Inupiat, it is said, had a world without daylight like our night now. The people's chief had two lights, a big bright one and a not so bright one.
When the one who had the daylight left with one of his lights, the people used to follow him, sometimes to go hunting. When they gathered wood, they tested it by licking the dry wood and the green wood. When it stuck to their tongues, they didn't use it. When it didn't stick, they used it as firewood.
They used to follow those who had the daylight when they went out for firewood or for meat. The chief never lent daylight out. Only his daughter and wife could use it. Those people had a hard time looking for things in the dark, such as when they were trying to find rocks for heating.
Once the daughter went to fetch water, taking along the dimmer light. Raven was with those people, and he turned into a piece of down, for he had decided to try to make daylight. As soon as she brought out that light, the other women went to fetch water too. The women waited for her to fill her wooden bucket, circling her to get water too.
When the woman had filled her bucket, she wanted to drink. When she filled her dipper, she saw a piece of down in it. Blowing at the down, she tipped the dipper until it was empty. When she would fill the dipper and start to drink, it would already have down in it. She dipped it again, but the down was there again, so she drank it while it was in her dipper, drinking the down together with the water.
Then the other women filled their buckets, and she waited for them. As soon as she had him in her mouth, Raven entered her womb. Then the woman became pregnant with a fatherless child. Without her knowing it, the baby was conceived. She became pregnant and gave birth to a boy.
When his daughter had the fatherless baby, the owner of daylight became very fond of his little grandchild. Being very fond of his grandchild, the grandfather used to hold him on his lap. When he grew up and became able to talk, the baby started to cry. For he wanted to play with daylight.
Then grandfather let him play with the dimmer light, and when he was through playing, the child gave it back to his grandfather. When he became able to play outdoors, he started to cry again, wanting to play outdoors. The grandfather at first refused, but then he gave the light to his little grandchild, since he was fond of him.
Then the baby took it out and tried to burst it. When he tried to burst it, it would give off flashes of light. Finally, trying again, he managed to burst it. Daylight burst upon the whole world.
Then the chief, the owner of the daylight, said, "There will always be daylight, and there will always be night too." And so then we had daylight. Those people started to hunt immediately.
So that was the story that we put together. We love the Sukhanyak so much, and so we thought this is a story that we would like to portray for today's event on welcoming the sun.
We hope you all enjoyed it and now know the story of the one who had the daylight. So that's pretty much what we had prepared for today. Does anyone have any questions or comments about any of the content that we went over, the Sunrise Selfie Challenge, or anything else?
Everybody.
Koyanakpak. We hope you all have a good weekend and a good rest of your Friday.
Let's hope the Sukhanyak continues to shine and no clouds. Hope you all have a great weekend as well.
And we look forward to seeing everybody's selfies. Anagalu.
Anagalu.